What's up, world? I'm Cameron McKinney, and this is Pop Culture Spotlight, a podcast about the movie RoofMan. Here's a quick synopsis. Jeffry Manchester, a former military veteran arrested for a string of robberies at McDonald's, escapes prison and hides out at a Toys R Us. The film stars Channing Tatum, Kirsten Dunst, Lakeith Stanfield, Peter Dinklage, Ben Mendelsohn, and Juno Temple. Standout performances. No one has ever questioned the star power of one Channing Tatum, and his status as a movie star really kicked off back in the year 2012 when he starred in the romantic film The Vow with Rachel McAdams, which made $196 million on a $30 million budget, 21 Jump Street with Jonah Hill, which made $201 million on a $42 million budget, and Magic Mike with Matthew McConaughey, which made $167 million on a $6 million budget. That trio of films really satisfied most movie audiences, and in the years since, Tatum's continued to be a big box office draw, but many have questioned his ability as an actor, and to those people I would say there are 3 films you need to watch, and they are 2006's A Guide to Recognizing Your Saints, one of his earliest film roles. He plays Antonio, a troubled youth who is wild and fun at the same time, but Tatum brings a real sadness to that part. Next is 2014's Foxcatcher, where he plays wrestler Mark Schultz. I know his co-stars are the ones who got Oscar nominations, Steve Carell and Mark Ruffalo, but this is one of Channing Tatum's best performances. There's a real innocence he plays with this character. And then finally, you have 2017's Logan Lucky, where Tatum plays Jimmy, who along with his brother, played by Adam Driver, sets up a heist of the Charlotte Motor Speedway. I love all of the performances in this one, but the best comes from Tatum, a guy who just wants to be with his daughter, and I see a real connection between it and the movie I'm here to talk about today, RoofMan. In RoofMan, Tatum plays Jerry, a thief who doesn't want to be violent, is just looking for a better life. The likability of Tatum really helps us, the audience, feel empathy for him. This is not my favorite Channing Tatum performance, but it's really hard to argue with the idea that it's his best. He's never been asked to carry a movie like this before. Channing Tatum will next be in the movies Avengers Doomsday, reprising his role of Gambit, and Josephine with Gemma Chan, and I want to take a minute to talk about the Gambit of it all. Tatum showed up with a wacky accent in Deadpool and Wolverine, and it was fun. I guess I'm waiting to see if this becomes something more over time with him playing this character, and if it does, what does that mean for his career moving forward? Like, is this going to be a huge deal that he's in these Marvel movies? I mean, how big of a role is he actually going to play in these movies moving forward? Are we ever going to live in a world where Channing Tatum is actually the lead of his own Gambit movie? Actress Kirsten Dunst is currently on the best run of her career. Her last 3 movies are 2021's The Power of the Dog, from writer-director Jane Campion, playing Rose Gordon, who is a newlywed but is having issues with her new husband's brother. For that, she got her first ever Oscar nom for Best Supporting Actress. 2024's Civil War, from writer-director Alex Garland, playing Lee Smith, a war photographer who is trying to make it to the White House to see the president. And RoofMan, from writer-director Derek Cianfrance, playing single mother Lee Wainscott, who works at the Toys R Us that Tatum's Jeffrey is hiding at. She is trying to tell him he doesn't need to give gifts for people to like him, but he just does not receive that message well. As somebody who considers himself to be a big fan of Kirsten Dunst, I would not say that this is a top 5 performance of her career. I also think this movie was sold as more of a two-hander than it actually is. I mean, this is Channing Tatum's movie, but Kirsten Dunst is doing really good work in it as well. And look, even though this is a movie that's based on a real story, I don't want to give away spoilers. All I will say is she gets to do her best work during their final scenes together. But I do want to get into a little bit more as to why I believe this to be the best run of Kirsten Dunst's career, because she's working with top-notch filmmakers who are giving her great roles in movies. I have said this before. I think her performance in Civil War is the best leading performance of her career. And I do believe you can look at Channing Tatum and see the parallels between him and Kirsten Dunst. I mean, they are both major movie stars who often do not get a lot of credit for being really good actors. Dunst will next star in the film The Entertainment System is Down with Keanu Reeves from writer-director Ruben Östlund. Yes, I wanted to see a movie that starred both Channing Tatum and Kirsten Dunst, but the biggest thing drawing me to this particular film is its writer-director, Derek Cianfrance, who in the past directed 2010's Blue Valentine and 2012's The Place Beyond the Pines, two movies that have Ryan Gosling doing top-notch work. This is how I would describe the movies that Derek Cianfrance makes, as highly emotional and raw. Another word I would use to describe his work is sad. I mean, these characters are sad, they're flawed, but they feel like real-life human beings, which is important in a movie like this because it's based on a real person. And you see a lot of those past elements in RoofMan. There's a leading character who is making the wrong life choices, but for emotionally sound reasons. But the movie is also different in that it's a lot funnier than those other movies, and a lot of that has to do with the setup of the movie. I mean, it's impossible to make a deadly serious movie about a guy who steals from McDonald's and lives inside of a Toys R Us. You also have Channing Tatum, who is really good at being funny on screen. Just watch the 21 Jump Street films, and I absolutely love the fact that Cianfrance was able to still make a movie that's in line with his filmography while also doing something tonally different. The truth is, I think if we were living in the 2010s still, he could continue to make movies like Blue Valentine for the rest of his career, but those kinds of movies are not doing well at the box office, and they're not being made as much. I would compare it to what Darren Aronofsky did this year with Caught Stealing. I mean, he used the movie stardom of Austin Butler to make a movie that feels like a Darren Aronofsky movie, but also he made something more commercial and more fun. And that's exactly what Derek Cianfrance did with RoofMan. He got a real legit movie star in Channing Tatum and gave him something different to do, but still felt in line with what people like about Channing Tatum. If you are a big fan of Channing Tatum, you will enjoy his work in RoofMan. It's not the type of movie that feels like Channing Tatum is only trying to win an Oscar. No, Channing Tatum had a lot of fun making this movie, and I had a lot of fun seeing him in this movie. Box office, so while not a huge hit, RoofMan did make $33 million on an $18 million budget. And this just has to do with the times that we are living in. 7 years ago, if you had a movie that starred both Channing Tatum and Kirsten Dunst, way more people would have gone to the movies to see that film. These are major movie stars. And I also just don't know if this movie is going to be viewed as a success by the studio. I don't know if Derek Cianfrance is going to be given way more opportunities to make more films. I think he should. I think he's a brilliant director who should continue to work with the likes of Channing Tatum. I want to see Cianfrance once again work with Ryan Gosling. He is the type of director I want to be working all the time. But in today's movie landscape, I'm just not sure how realistic that is. I think it's going to be, we're going to get a Derek Cianfrance movie every 5 years or so. Because these are the kinds of movies he wants to make. He doesn't want to make a comic book movie. He was once attached to to direct RoofMan starring Ryan Gosling and then left that project probably because he didn't want to make a horror film. He wants to make an earnest drama like RoofMan. I did not know the story of Jeffry Manchester before I saw the movie RoofMan, and I don't know how many people are actually familiar with this guy and what happened to him. I think the absolute best thing that Channing Tatum does in this movie is play the character straight. Like, he doesn't play him like he's zany. He plays him in an earnest way. I mean, yes, he's absolutely crazy. He's living in a Toys R Us. He's made a home for himself there. He's eating their candy. He's stealing their toys. I mean, there's a version of this movie where even though Jeffry Manchester is a real person, another actor would have probably played him way more like a cartoon. But the whole point of the movie is to tell you that this is a good enough guy who didn't need to do this to get other people to like him, but that's what he believed. He believed that the only way he was ever going to be successful in life was for him to commit these crimes, to get more money, and to buy people endless amounts of gifts. And I think in the wrong hands, a movie with that kind of message, just be yourself, can be kind of corny. But in the hands of someone like Derek Cianfrance working with an actor like Channing Tatum, you get something with more substance. I don't think, or at least I didn't get to a point in the movie where I wanted him to get away with the crimes, but you did feel empathy for him as a human being, and all the credit in the world goes to Channing Tatum for making that happen. The movie reminded me a lot of David Lowery's The Old Man and the Gun, because in that film, Robert Redford's last leading role, he plays a guy who steals but doesn't want to hurt anyone. Like, he doesn't want there to be victims to his crime, and Channing Tatum is the exact same way as Jeffry Manchester in RoofMan. He just wants to steal the money and for nobody to get hurt. Oscar chances. So right now I don't think it's going to happen, but I want Channing Tatum to get his first ever Oscar nomination. It's one of the best leading performances of the year. He carries the movie in a way that only true movie stars can, and I want movie star performances to get nominated for the Academy Awards. Even if it doesn't happen for this movie, I do believe we are headed to a world where Tatum gets a nomination in the next 3 to 5 years. I mean, he's just doing consistent work. He's challenging himself. He's working with top tier directors. I think it's going to happen for him. I think people are going to acknowledge that he is a good actor. I also believe sometimes it's a good thing to recognize the most commercial actors working today. I mean, there's a reason that so many people want to watch movies that star Channing Tatum, because he's good at his job. He's very good at being a movie star. Maybe he's not the best actor in the world, but he's getting better and he's not phoning it in. I mean, he could easily be playing in romantic comedies for the rest of his career. He could be in comedies. He could be in action comedies. He doesn't need to do movies like RoofMan. He is challenging himself as an actor, and for that, I believe he deserves recognition. And for a lot of the interviews for this movie, he's talked about the fact that he turned down starring in Derek Cianfrance's Blue Valentine. I mean, Channing Tatum's career would have taken a drastic turn if he had starred in that movie. I personally believe that Ryan Gosling paired with Michelle Williams made a perfect match, but it would have been interesting to see Tatum challenge himself that early on in his career. But now just feels like the perfect time, and this feels like the perfect movie for him to be in, written and directed by Derek Cianfrance, because he gets to be a serious actor while still being a likable movie star. And I think the key for Channing Tatum moving forward is to continue to work with the best directors working today. I mean, I want him to reunite with Steven Soderbergh really badly. I think he's done his best work under Steven Soderbergh. I obviously want him to make another movie with Derek Cianfrance. There's also talk that Channing Tatum could possibly be in Heat 2 from Michael Mann. I would absolutely love to see that. He's also an actor you just want to see paired with other major stars like Kirsten Dunst. I think that's when when Channing Tatum is doing his best work, when he's with Jonah Hill or Adam Driver. You hear people say it a lot that Channing Tatum is one of the last true movie stars. And they might be right, and if that's the case, then you want to see him make the right decisions, because he has the power to make movies that people are going to see. So I've talked about what I liked most about this movie, and it's the two central performances given by Channing Tatum and Kirsten Dunst. I actually think the rest of the supporting cast is not given enough to do. Like, I wanted more from Peter Dinklage other than to be a stereotypical manager at a Toys R Us. I definitely wanted more from Ben Mendelsohn, who I think gives the best performance of his career in Derek Cianfrance's The Place Beyond the Pines. I think Lakeith Stanfield is fine in this movie, but I also wanted him to have more to do and fit in with the tone of the movie. I think this really is a movie that is just Channing Tatum, and that's fine, but then it's like, why are you putting him with all of these really good actors and not giving them much to do? What I love most about The Place Beyond the Pines is that all of the performances are great. You have a great performance from Ryan Gosling, Bradley Cooper, Ray Liotta, R.I.P., and Dane DeHaan. RoofMan is purely a showcase for Channing Tatum. And don't get me wrong, it works. I really like this movie. I just wanted more from the supporting cast. I believe this movie will be looked at as a turning point for Channing Tatum. I think more people are going to see this movie and give him a lot of credit for the performance he has given here. Say what you will about him. Maybe you don't think Channing Tatum is a great actor. I just don't personally believe there are that many actors out there today who could pull off what he does in this movie, playing this guy and coming off as super likable. It's a lost quality you don't see in a lot of stars today. And maybe that's not their faults. Maybe they're just not asked to star in movies like RoofMan. I mean, up until this point, I didn't know that Channing Tatum had a performance like this in him. This is an example of a movie that on paper can be a little dicey. I mean, I was only sold on it because of the people involved, because of my history of watching Channing Tatum and Kirsten Dunst, and because of my history of being a fan of Derek Cianfrance. I wanted to see if they could pull a movie like this off. I mean, I was thinking to myself, why should I care about a guy who robs McDonald's and lives inside a Toys R Us? And they got me to care about him in a way that I did not think was possible going into the movie. So a lot of weeks on this podcast, I talk about movies that I like, and I go, I don't know if these movies are going to have a reputation later on in their lifespan. I do believe this movie is going to gain a reputation as one that you have to watch. I think it's going to be on Paramount Plus soon. I think more people are going to see this movie. They're going to see the great work done by Channing Tatum. They want to see him with Kirsten Dunst. I think more and more people are going to enjoy the movie RoofMan, and I hope that leads to more success from Channing Tatum and more movies from writer-director Derek Cianfrance, because he is one of the best directors out there. His movies, which I haven't talked about enough on this podcast, are some of the best looking movies you are ever going to see. This movie got me nostalgic for a time where we used to go to Toys R Us, and that is hard to do because usually I watch a movie and it recreates a place like a Blockbuster, and I go, this is insane. I hate this movie. That is not the case with RoofMan. I wanted to be at that Toys R Us with Channing Tatum. RoofMan is a movie that's dramatic enough, it's funny enough, it is what it's supposed to be. I think tonally, Cianfrance made the right choices when it comes to this film. It's absurd, it's sad, it's all of the things you wanted to be all in one movie. And if you've been a detractor of Channing Tatum's in the past and this performance doesn't win you over, nothing will. Thanks for listening to this edition of Pop Culture Spotlight. I'm Cameron McKinney, and there'll be a new episode of the podcast every Thursday on Apple Podcast and Spotify. I highly recommend you check out the film RoofMan. Next week on the podcast, I'm talking about the movie Train Dreams, starring Joel Edgerton, Felicity Jones, Kerry Condon, and William H. Macy. So tune in to that, and please rate, review, and subscribe.